Hello everyone, this is Master Victor Neustroyev, and today we are going to do the webinar devoted to the topic how to play with 4 queens on the board. So please let me know whether the sound and video quality is good. I'm sharing the board from Lichess, so can you please let me know whether you see it properly or there is something cut off? Yeah, maybe we should make a little bigger like that. And here too, like that. Now I think it should be okay. So, okay, so let me open the chat here. Is there anybody who attends the webinar for the first time? If yes, then please tell me what's your rating and from which country you are from, actually. So as for me, if you don't know, well, I'm a FIDE master, originally from Russia, but I live in Argentina. So it's been 1 year and 5 months that I've been living here, and I'm participating in some tournaments here. Also, for example, yesterday I played a very disappointing game against an international master, so I can share with you. Because why it's so disappointing? Because I was really playing well in the first part of the game, but the second part was so terrible. Okay, I can quickly show you. Before we start with the main topic, because our task before we start the main topic of the class, our task is to also cover your homework from the previous event. Anyway, so I was playing against international master. His rating was 24 and 7. Okay, I'm sure. Well, Brian joins us, so he was asking about this game, so that's why I would like to share. So e4, e5, it was Italian game. Knight f6, d3. Well, I'd better choose a different order. But anyway, we reached the position that I had analyzed with bishop g5. It's a very specific move. The bishop can be trapped here, I mean, locked for a while, but it's not a big issue. So g5, fine. He plays knight a5, and this is the position that I had. Bishop d5 here, and I was expecting c6, after which I can sacrifice my bishop for a pawn, but then capture the enemy knight on a5. So he took and decided to save his knight by doing b5. I played b4 to trap the knight, and then I played d4, opening the position because I'm definitely better developed and I should take advantage of it. So f6. Then I decided to sacrifice the knight here in order to deliver a check, and then I should take on a5. That was completely fine. So this and this, the attack looks really strong. Well, I decided that I instead play queen f3. Why? To force the king to go to a light square, to g8. So I'm a piece down, but I have a strong attack. Okay, what's the question? Why didn't what? Okay. Why didn't he go g5? Well, he did play g5, but a little later. So, and then I played bishop e5. So he automatically played rook h7. However, here I expected him to play knight d6. And then I thought that my position is better. I'm gonna take. Well, his pieces are fine, but I have rook and 2 pawns for 2 minor pieces. It's definitely more favorable for me. So he played rook h7. I also expected this move, and I played knight e4. So the idea of queen f3 move was to chase the king to g8 to make the king uh, that are my target of my knight attack. And then I expected him to play this move, which he played, and I immediately reacted with queen h5. Now he cannot protect this pawn, and once he loses it, the game is almost over. Yeah, rook e1 later. Rook e1 is just very slow at the moment. So probably he saw this move, but then queen h6, just threatening with a mate. So queen e7, check, he goes there. Bishop f6, a very nice move. If he does this, it's over. How does he stop this? And I can also bring the rook to the game. So if queen f7, then it's knight h7, king goes there, and I chase his king away and capture on f7. So queen e4, he sacrificed the queen. I can take back and then play the position with queen versus 3 pieces. But instead I decided to take here, force him. Well, he has to go there, and then I just pin him. That was clever. That was almost a very best moves for white. Knight d6. Well, here actually I decided to take. That was not the best way to play. Instead, I would do this check first, and then I would play queen h7. That would be much better. So this, and that would be winning. Why didn't I find it? Because it's just over. What can he do? So I'm threatening to take and deliver a checkmate on a7. So if he does rook f7, then I win a piece. It was so easy to find, and I didn't. Instead, I took here and played bishop d4, hoping to deliver a check and win there. Anyway, it's still an absolutely winning position. It's absolutely winning, so he blocks with the knight, check, and then this move, also a very good move. So I'm threatening to take, play queen e6 and win this rook. He has to play this. Another very good move. I'm provoking him to take to undouble my pawns and get them closer to the queen and squares. So he has to play this. Then I deliver a series of checks, and then I don't know how to play. And this is where I started blundering. So if you ask the engine, it's +5, more than +5. Originally, I wanted to do this and then play h4. That was my original plan. But then I realized that he plays this move and does this. However, if that happens, I just win with this move. Oops, not with this move. With this move. If he goes there, I take on d6 and then take there. If he goes to c8, it's more tough. Then I don't know how exactly to play. I don't know. Maybe I would just maybe I would just play this move. Who knows? Rook e5. So because he cannot do anything. If he takes, I take and attack the knight, and my next plan is just advancing the h pawn. But I played h4 and blundered the pawn on e6. It's fine if then I continue with this move and continue with h5 here because it blocks the enemy pieces. Actually, no, with this move, because if bishop b7, it's queen e6 and the rook cannot get developed and I can start pushing. It's still completely winning. However, I played d5 here, hoping that there is no defense of this and then h6 and so on. But there is, it's bishop f5. So, and I played even a worse move that I could ever find. It's g4, blundering the pawn. So if I take, it's this. So I blundered 2 pawns, and then the position became completely, well, it's equal if I play properly, but I didn't. And then I lost the game. So with his pieces, he was able to cover my king, and this is how I lost the game. It's very disappointing because I was completely winning and I was doing well until this move. Well, no, until h4 I was doing well, but even here I'm still winning. Why didn't I play queen g7, queen f6, and then h4 like I originally wanted? Who knows? Okay, so fine. Let's now talk about the homework that we have left. There were 2 positions I were asking you. Let me open it. So, okay, people are joining. Okay, I found homework 2. Where is the second one? The first position. Okay, let me open Let me open the file with the homework. Yeah, thanks for those who send donations. Oh, yeah, okay. So let me do something. Herman, I would like to stop your video because it looks like your camera doesn't work properly. So if you later want to say something, you can unmute yourself and turn your video on if you want. Uh-huh. So, at the first, the question was whether it's possible to take on a5. A5 before knight takes a4. And the first homework was this. So, what do you think? Can black capture on a5 or not? Well, yeah, let me open your chat. So what do you think about this position? Well, actually, it seems that it's quite possible to capture on a5. Maybe it's not the best move, but it's definitely a possible move. Maybe they should play e5 here, actually, but knight a5 is possible too. So how does it work? The key idea is that there is no proper move to create a discovered attack. Because if you, for example, decide to play knight b6, which looks natural, you create a discovered attack, they can simply save the queen by moving the queen to b5, and you cannot trap it because the queen always escapes. So your maximum is this pawn, but by moving the bishop, you blunder the pawn on e4, which is definitely more important. And taking this useless bishop on d7 with a knight isn't a big problem for black. So I don't think it's a problem at all. Okay, so that's why here white has to play e5. How does it work? Well, for example, d takes e5, and this is hanging. So knight b6 will be after knight b6, the knight is attacked twice. So queen b5, f takes e5, and the queen is overloaded. However, the queen can still go there because after knight d7, knight takes knight, this bishop is hanging, but bishop f4. That's the problem. So the queen goes back to save this knight, but you can always take on b8 and win the exchange. However, it seems that there is a full compensation. So that's why it was also possible. Instead, it is maybe better to play knight d5 move. Knight takes, pawn takes, and just bishop e2 taken here. So, well, white is maybe slightly better. I would prefer playing queen e5 and then playing without the exchange here. Or you may not take and play knight d5 right away. Maybe it's even better. Knight there, queen protects. So the d file is still closed. Knight takes d5, pawn takes, and bishop e2. So, well, maybe this. They take on a6. Queen c7. There is a pressure here. So if queen d5, it's queen c2. Any suggestions, Tonio? If you wanted to say anything, please repeat. Okay. Fine. Rook f2. When rook f2? In this position, rook f2. Well, yes, rook f2 must be played, but then this. So it's gonna be equal. So taking on a5 was completely fine. Now the second question. So here, queen h4, f5. So the question is whether white should capture on h7 or not. So what's your opinion? No, white can't. What's wrong with queen takes h7? What do you think? King f7, and they threaten to trap the queen. That's right. So king f7, and they threaten to trap, but queen has a tempo. It goes to h4, and now after rook h8, it goes there. But we have other problems. So it was just the h7 pawn, which doesn't really change anything. Yes, the pawn is lost, but it's possible to win a pawn back if we just take on c2 at least. I don't know whether it first makes sense to capture there, but let's just take on c2. We can take this rook later, because if they take, they only activate our rook. So knight c2, and well, maybe this. There is a light squared bishop, but it cannot join the place of action. Moreover, if the bishops are exchanged, this king will be in danger. As for knight d5, which seems good, especially in case of this exchange, then queen c4. So black has a very strong counterplay, and that's why queen h7 wasn't a good idea. Fine. So today we are going. Yeah, actually, let's finish with that stuff from the previous webinar. Let's now talk about what I prepared. So the positions with four queens on the board. It happens. I mean, four queens on the board may occur in case if it's a middle game with passed pawns, and both players are trying to promote, and if one is faster, the other one has to resign, most likely. But what if they promote simultaneously or almost simultaneously? This can be a problem, because then with four queens on the board, a lot of factors which are common for calm and strategic positions no longer work, and instead you should be calculating a lot. And the most important factor in such a case, when four queens are on the board, is the position of the king. So how safe the king is. So it seems everything is working. Okay, let me tell you something. So first of all, the queen is a very valuable piece, and it's much stronger than other pieces. It's obvious, but and very often the queen can fight against the whole army. For example, like my queen did in the game that I demonstrated today. But well, I wasn't able to succeed, mainly because I was low on time and didn't make proper decisions. But when you have two queens, you can coordinate them really well, and these two queens will present a real power. So uh, you have better chances to checkmate the enemy king instantly, even if the king is hidden. Uh, I mean, cover it with his pawns. So that's why two queens may participate in a lot of winning combinations, like it's easier to find a checkmate. There are a lot of forks, pins that you can take advantage of. So that's why when you are trying to evaluate the position with four queens on the board, there are several factors to consider. First, how safe your and enemy king is. Second, whose turn is after you promote. No, after you and your opponent promotes, whose turn it is. What else? Who controls the center, because from the center you are able to move to one flank and the other flank without any problems in just one move. However, if except I mean, if besides four queens on the board, you also have other pieces, then it's much harder to evaluate the position. And a lot depends on calculation concrete lines. Okay, so, well, actually studying the endgames with four queens may help you to improve your tactical vision, also your ability to calculate and your ability uh, to visualize tactics as well as evaluate the position. So, okay, here it's black to move. Black played a 1 equals queen, but there is a question whether queen d7 may happen. Queen d7, I don't think so. So queen d7, for example, rook d7, and if then you promote, you lose your rook on e4. So with extra rook, white should be winning. Can black go queen e7? What's the purpose? d8 equals queen, and they have to exchange their queen now, and it's a check, so they cannot promote the a pawn. So that's why I think black played the most logical decision. They promoted, but white promoted too with a check. Actually, there was a better suggestion here. They could capture on e3. For example, then if f takes e3, the king is more exposed. And because this is a check, well, they have to react. And then queen d7. Because after rook e4, it's a1 equals queen, and this is winning. What if f takes? Then it's this, and king g7. And then this king is more exposed. That's why black is winning. Well, something similar happened in the game. Queen c7. No, instead of taking with the knight, they took with the rook to not open the f file. So, and now f takes e3 probably. Yes, f takes f3 because there is no possibility to get these queens coordinated. Queen f2 and then it's extra exchange. But, well, yes, this, and in case of queen e1 with the idea of a checkmate, how would you play with white? So queen e8. Now, queen e8, maybe actually queen e8, because you cover a2, but I think that they will at least win a rook. So here you have two options. You can play queen e7, which covers e3 and also this, or you can play queen c2, which also covers everything. And now their best move is to do this. However, this is a draw because of queen h5. Queen c2 also pins the pawn on g6. 2 versus 2 on the same flank. So for example, here, what? Maybe this move just because even if they check, there is always queen f6 and it should be a draw. So, but white makes a mistake. They take with the rook. Okay, who can tell me what's wrong with this? Knight e3. Okay, knight e3. So they take with the queen, for example, to not expose the king. What do you think about that? Well, this is what happens if the pawn takes. If the pawn takes, then yes, it's queen a2. They have to block, and you have queen e8. And the key idea is that if they block, there is another check. I think it's any check, actually. And now the king moves, and you win a queen. Yeah, because if the king goes there, it's a checkmate on h1. So, but what if the queen takes? Yeah, I think Brian is correct here. In case of queen e3, it's simply queen h3. And now if the king takes, the game is over. It's just a checkmate. So two queens can create mating combinations even if they are not together. I mean, even if they are located on different sides of the board. Well, after queen h3, they can also get the king escaped, but only for a while. This, if this move, it's a checkmate with the other queen or with any queen. If king f4, which is the only other option, then it's queen f6. That's it. So by the first glance, the king is well covered, but actually not because we are able to enter the enemy camp diagonally and even with queen sacrifices. Okay, the next example. So that was the previous example was an example of a one queen sacrifice in order to promote. So this is an example actually for black. Let me flip the board. It was Alexander Aleking playing against well, Edward Lasker. So not Emmanuel, but Edward. So here, well, h2 threatening to promote, but they promote first. However, h1 equals queen. So what do we have? White, black has one extra pawn, but it's white to move with four queens. So probably there should be a possibility to save the game for white because they have extra temper. They can centralize their queens, for example. And because of that, maybe extra pawn doesn't count because both kings are exposed. However, this one is covered with this pawn. So what we need to cover is this and maybe these attacks. This king is also covered, but can be attacked through the h file. What would you suggest for white? Which solid move to play to avoid complications? Any suggestions? Queen g5. Okay, so interesting move. And queen d3. Queen d3 or cd3. Queen cd3. Okay, let's start with queen g5. Well, queen g5 is a kind of attacking move, but the problem of this move is that the queens are not coordinated. You're only threatening to take on f5. So I think they can deliver a check on h3 or f3. I like f3 more. The king goes there. Maybe a6 threatening with a checkmate, because how do you defend this time? It seems that because all these squares are covered, no checks can be delivered, f5 is protected. It seems that to avoid this, the queens should be exchanged, and maybe with this move. And if you take, well, then white has some chances to draw the game, but at the same time, Ah, okay, this is the move, right? Because after the exchange of the queens, this queen on f3 covers any attack of the king. So, well, black has winning chances here. I don't think it's queen g5. Queen cd3. Okay, queen cd3, then maybe this move. No, it doesn't look good because, well, yes, there can be a check on h3, but king g6, and it seems that no more checks after that, while this king is vulnerable. Also, queen e3 is about to be played to try to realize extra pawn. So the move that was required was queen d3. Why? Well, attack here. This also covers the third rank and doesn't allow any checks like queen c1 and something like that. Well, the best move here would be this, and well, queen h3 is a little more promising than it was last time. For example, you can play queen c5 here and try to exchange the queens in a better well, version, because you have a pass pawn too. So they have a pass pawn and white may have a pass pawn. Or you can exchange the queens here, but I don't think it's a good idea. So, you take on a7. Yeah, it's also playable. Well, and if they go there, you can still take on a7. So, yeah, probably it's better. Taking the queens is better. But white made queen c4 move. So, what's wrong with this queen move? Well, this move allows black successfully to play this and centralize their two queens. How does it work? So, for example, if the queens are exchanged, there are no checks and the a7 pawn is saved. And, well, this is what coming. If, let's say, there is a check, because the queen c4 was played originally with the idea to attack the king, it doesn't seem to work because it's hard to get these queens coordinated to attack the king. All squares are protected. No more checks, while this king is in the danger. So they played queen d to g8, king h6, queen checks, king g5, and they took. Well, they could have another check, maybe queen here, and in such a case, just queen e7. It's a kind of a counter attack because we offer a queen exchange as well as to take on b4. So queen e7. This is what happened in the game, and now it's over. Queen c3, queen blocks, and queen b4 checkmate based on this pin. If the king moves, it's still a checkmate. So it seems that this queen cements the defense, but no, because it's pinned, the b4 is actually not protected. This is also very common. Okay, let's continue. So here the key idea was the centralization of the queens. Where two queens we were able to play on both sides. One, I mean, on the king side, these two queens prevented the checks that white queen could initiate, and on the queen side, they were doing some attacking actions, attacking the pawns, and also attacking the king. Now our next example. So here g4 was played, a6. What do you think? Well, it seems that this pawn is faster. How can black make a draw? So there is no possibility to draw the game, or what? No, there is. There is. So let's decide. So g3, a7, g2, a8 equals queen, g1 equals queen. Then it seems it's because it's white to move, probably they can initiate an attack on the king, maybe with king h8 or queen h8 or queen f8. So think about which move is better. That's why I don't think that just advancing the g and letting white to promote the a pawn is the solution here. Well, because of the king's position being compromised and because of the ability of these two queens to deliver a check immediately and keep doing checks, I think the black king is in trouble, and this is what can be seen by a naked eye. Oh, your microphone is muted. If you guys want to say anything, you should unmute yourself. Okay, d3. d3 actually is a good idea. But should it be d3 right away or not? Because if you do d3, queen takes d3. Now, if the queens are exchanged, both pawns are promoted, white will be a pawn up in the queen in game. Of course, there will be chances. Okay, so the question, wasn't it better to move the queen first to protect the pawn? Okay, let's first go through this line. Take, then this, 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 and it's actually losing. So white is winning. That's why the queen shouldn't be exchanged. So probably they need to promote first. But it still doesn't look good. So let's say, okay, actually, wait a sec. I want to try something else. I want to deliver this check, and if the king goes there, I take the pawn. If the king goes there, I can promote, and now I have a checkmate. So I think there is no draw in such a case. To move the queen first to protect the pawn. Well, which queen to move first to protect the pawn? So a6. Well, it was better to play this move, not to protect the pawn, but to advance and threaten the king. So, for example, if you completely ignore and play this move, it's d3. What now? If king goes there, it's queen checks and wins the pawn back. If, let's say, the king, well, c3 should be c3 queen f2. King a2 seems the only logical move, and if you take, they promote. However, look at this queen. It now covers h8, so there is no skewer in such a case. So there is only one check, this. And then after king g6, what they have to do is just to repeat the position. Because white is a pawn down, and there is no counterattack, and there is also checkmate on a1 or on b2. So queen f6 was the best option. Instead, it was a blunder played, and it was a skewer. Ah, okay. So I got. So doesn't it make sense to protect the pawn? You mean with queen b7? Okay, let's say this. Okay, maybe g4 this. Well, okay, but they play this, and now they promote first. So a6 this, a7 this move. Who is winning? Let's say I play king h7 here, king g7, g7. So the king is safe. Maybe I have something else. Maybe d3. D3 check. No, d3 doesn't work. Okay, queen f6 again. And it should be fine. 2 versus 2. Queen f8, king. No, queen f8 can be this move to protect on f7. Well, it should be okay. No, white is probably better. Okay. Yeah, okay. So g1, a8. It's hard to evaluate this position. So let's say maybe queen f2. Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe queen b7 was a better move, but so let's say queen g4, queen b7. Can they start with d3 maybe? With queen f6 and d2. So you play a6, then it's queen f6, and then it's d2. So, and if the king goes, let's say here to not fall under a check, it's this, and queen e2 and queen c2. So no, queen b7 was a tempo loss. a6, and they could play queen f6 and draw the game, but they played g3, which was a critical mistake. Now both queens are promoted, and there is a skewer, this. How does it work? So the king cannot move. There is only one move, this. How would you play in this position for white to win one of the queens? Yeah, white king is definitely safer because of the position of the black queen. If that queen was on f6, that would cover the h8 square, which is crucial for this position. Now queen b6 or queen c6. Yeah, that's right. So queen b6. Then what? If this queen moves too far, it's queen h7. If queen blocks there, no, queen not b6, but c6. So if the queen blocks there, there is this. And after this king moves, it's possible to win one of the queens. Or you can play a more simple way. Queen h5, sacrificing the queen, but then doing a skewer because the king cannot come closer to the queen to be able to protect it. This is how the game was over. Okay, fine. So a lot of things have to be calculated, and when there are four queens, and a lot depends on whose turn it is and how well is the king covered. So here, by doing queen f6 move, it was possible to create some counterplay with d3 as well as cover h8, which became crucial. Finally, what about this position? So looks like there is a pawn here. So, well, I don't like the white's position, but I still think that if they play well, they can draw the game. Black can't promote. What do you mean can't promote? Well, they will promote. Because white will promote with a check. So you mean d8, but d8, king d8 always. Queen b7 again. Okay, very nice idea. Queen b7. So, well, I don't think it works actually. Let's say I do this. So, and the key idea is that I promote first, and I have a check on d5, which exchanges the queens, and then black is able to cover all the squares. So this king g2, queen d5, which queen to d5 doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. So this, and then I stop here, and also this with the king. Now queen b7 is a mistake. So queen b8 is just a queen blunder. So d8, d8 is a must. To promote with a check, king has to take because it's a double check. Queen b8 is a blunder again, so queen a8 was played in the game. King goes to e7. Now, queen b7 is a possibility, but then queen blocks. And if white wants to promote, they have to exchange. But then we have this in game where black has extra pawn and chances to play for a win, especially in case if the queens are exchanged on d5 somehow. So that's why white tries to not exchange that queens and keep 4 queens on the board, and they play this move. Because with 4 queens, there is more chances for a perpetual check. What do you think? How should black play? If they block with the queen here or there, they lose on d3 and cannot win on a6. That's why white will be better already. So they have to move the king. This, and this. 4 squares available. Where to move the king? King to d7 is one of the suggestions. Okay. Anything in, well, we will check it out. So here, when you decide to move the king, you should consider the position of the queen of the king when you visualize 4 queens on the board. Where the king is safer, on f7, d7, d8, or f8. Okay, f8 definitely, well, actually maybe, but unlikely. So this move, then a7, d2, and white promotes first and with the queen, so no, because then this pawn can be stopped. For example, king g7. How to continue? Okay, it should be another check. So let it be this move. Why this move? Because if the king goes to the back rank, it's a checkmate after queen e8. That's why the king has to go there, and then it's still a checkmate. So definitely not f8. I think the same thing happens in case if the king goes to d8. So this, check. Now he has to go to the 7th rank. If this is a checkmate. If this, then there still should be a checkmate. I think king, this is a good move, because if the queens are exchanged, which I doubt, because if queen c7, I would play this move and then capture the queen for free. Yeah, I think so. So king c8, check, this, check, and then it's a checkmate soon. So d8 is definitely a mistake. So maybe f7 or d7. So in the game, it was d7. And that was a mistake. Well, why? Because the king on d7 is more vulnerable. Even after black promotes with the queen, their queen with a check, they cannot exchange the queens. And they experience tough times defending the king. So what is coming? Something like that. Actually, this exactly happened in the game. They couldn't stop it. They played c4 and lost because of this checkmate. But what else could they try? Well, not a king move. It's a blunder. Maybe some queen moves. But looks like their queens are just duplicating each other's functions. So they are doing the same job on the d file. They're covering d5 squares, some, well, it seems like just one queen. And because of no possibility to pin or to offer an exchange, it won't work. Maybe moving the queen to e5 would help. Let's see. No, it wouldn't. So king goes there, and this is a checkmate. Also, when you have 4 queens on the board, try to consider such checks which do not let your opponent to block it. For example, you see queen e5 or queen e6 was played, and they played this move because they couldn't block. I could try this move, but then I had to calculate this line. But if I play with the queen, so they can only move the king away, which is very easy to calculate. So Queen c7 maybe. Still fails. Still fails. Why? Because of this, and the king cannot go to the e-file. So if it goes here or there, it's a checkmate with the queen. So for example, like that. If he goes there, it's still a checkmate. Like that. No, wait, like that. No, wait a sec. Which queen to check? No, I think it's this actually, queen e8. And the king cannot move, they have to block, and after this move the king is forced to go away and leave the queen on b8 hanging, so nothing could save. So black realized that they promote with a check, and that's why it's their turn, but they didn't realize that they cannot attack this king while this king is in a danger. If only they play to f7, that would be much better. A7, D2, this, and how to attack. Yes, it's still possible. I mean, King G2. So it's this is still a threat, but just King G7 trying to escape. And every time the queens are doubled with the idea of doing something like this or that, it's Queen D5, and one of the queens are queen pairs is exchanged then. So f7 would be much safer. So any attack through the seventh rank, just queen d7, and their maximum is to take there. After which it is a draw. Okay, fine. And now we go to the second stage of our class. So I will ask you to play this position. So you'll be playing with black pieces. You have your pawn far advanced, but how would you play here? So this king is more exposed than this king, and because of that, you have winning chances, but you have to play properly. So let me paste, insert this position in the chat so that you can think about your next steps. So think about what your next move should be. And I'm going to set everything up on chess.com. So your task will be to play against me. You're playing with black pieces on chess.com. So tell me your chess.com usernames, those of you who want to play. Also, if you like my webinars and you want to support my work, you can donate using this button, this link, and the button donate here. So I'm going to paste it here. So this helps me to prepare better content on a regular basis. As well as to pay a salary for my assistant. So I'm working with a Russian FIDE master, a friend of mine. So he helps me to prepare the game. So how does it work? It works easily. You click the button, you enter the amount that you want to donate, and then it redirects you to your PayPal account, and you can simply enter it and send money to me directly. This is how it works. And thanks for those who already donated. So the link is here. And now we go to chess.com. So play. So I can, okay, so here custom 15 plus 10 fin, and this. So I'm playing with white pieces. Uh-huh. Okay. So anybody else wants to play, please let me know your username and we will play. I'll send the challenge to you too. Yeah, so right now you see my screen. I already sent the challenge, so I'm going to make the moves and comment them. Well, why we are doing such an exercise? So you learned something from the webinar. Now let's do some practice and let's see how well you can exploit my king's weakness in that position. Have it in mind that two more queens uh, will be promoted and will occur on the board. Anybody else wants to play? Okay, so the challenge is sent. So why you are not accepting it? Okay. So tell me your username. I'll prepare a challenge. Okay, it was cancelled. Okay, and finally the position. Okay, it is sent. You should receive a challenge. Didn't show up. You should go here to play. It's weird because last time. Okay, I can send it once again. Did it appear? Yes, finally it was. Okay, from Spain. Okay. So which city in Spain are you from? So here you have to make a move within 40 seconds. Okay, queen f1, nice. I didn't expect this move, so let me think for a while. So the rook is hanging. I don't think that c2 is a problem because queen c2 or rook c2. There is no check. I can move the rook to one pin, or I can move the queen to one pin. Or I can play a6. Okay, let me try a6. This is what I expected, of course. That looks like it fails. So rook e4. No, then I take the queen and attack f7. So you'd better take the queen on c4 first. Or deliver intermediate check and then take the rook. Yeah, well, but this time it doesn't look so good. I can take. Yeah, I can send a new challenge. So new game, custom. This plus 10. So it is sent. Okay, here. So what do I have? Let me just play the move there. Check. Rook a8 to stop my pawn. I'll try to draw the game with if I capture your pawn. a6, rook a6, so I don't like it. Okay, so I have to play this move to take it. Okay, so then I play queen e7. Now then I take on c3. Okay, here queen g5 maybe. No, queen e3. Okay, queen e3. It's likely to be a draw because 2 versus 3 on one side. Okay, this move is definitely a mistake. Why? Well, because I can capture all your pawns with checks. Okay, king h3. And then I take your rook. This move. Okay, fine. And then I take the rook and the last pawn, and it's over. Okay, let's make just waiting move. Yes, so this game is absolutely losing for black. Well, if you want, we can try once again. If nobody else wants to join, we can try once again. Just a waiting move. So, because black was originally winning and your task was to realize your advantage. So here, if I draw the game, I'll be happy with it. Okay, so is it possible to do a rematch? Rematch send, please check. So I just cut the king off, and I think this is the most simple drawing strategy. Okay, so what about rematch? King f3. Okay, I'm going to send a new one. Okay, new game. Oh yeah, this is no. Well, okay, let me send a. Okay, yeah, it works finally. So if you want, you can play Queen f1. I think that move was okay, but probably not the best one. Let me go there. Queen f3. Okay. So Queen f3 allows me to take there. If only I play this move. What I don't want to... No, I think it's fine. Okay, let me try. And this is a draw. Black has no ideas how to progress. Okay, I was expecting this move. And then I would like to capture on c3. I would like to capture on c3 with the queen because I expect rook d1. Okay, now I can take the pawn. Rook g4. No, I don't think it's a good idea. I can win the other pawn. Rook d2, king h3. Yeah, this is right. Then I have to play this move, I think, just to defend. f4. Take. Let's take this. f5. Okay. Is there a chance to play for win with the king being trapped? No, I don't think so. But even if I lose this pawn, it should be a draw. Okay, let's just deliver this check. And then rook a7. This. I think it's a blunder. I just take the rook. Check. Well, yes, this is what I was expecting, but I have a check on a5, and then I can bring my rook back. And stop your pawn. Now I win this. Take. Well, this is winning. Okay, in this position, what do I have to play? I have two pawns, so let me check first to chase the king away. This move. Okay, so g6, right? No, no, not g6. Oh, okay, let's, the simplest is just to take here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, king goes there. g5, rook f5. I don't think it's a good move, actually, because how do you defend against g6? Or maybe I have king g6. What is better? Well, let me play a6. But you don't have checks here, so that's the problem. But let's say g6. Yeah, play this. Okay, this move. Here, okay, then g7, and this is how I win. And in this position, just king g6 and rook checkmates. And in this position, because there are a lot of stalemating ideas, I'd better just promote with checks. So this is a checkmate. Thank you for the game. It was completely drawing. And here I promote to a queen, and this is winning. And then I would like to show you what you should do instead of doing this. And I'm actually starting a course for players from 1200 to 15. I will announce it very soon in October. Um, so well, this will be group lessons. We're gonna have 2 group lessons on Mondays and Fridays, for example, and each lesson will be 1.5 hours, and there will be also homework as well as the recording of that lesson for those who missed it. So once I will prepare everything, I will announce it everywhere. Okay, fine. Thank you for the games. Let me go back and explain what you should be doing there in order to play for a win. So this. A5 was played. It was obviously a mistake. Instead, white better play rook c2 and to attack the pawn. So, for example, if rook e8 with the idea of counterattack, let's say if now you decide to take on c3 with the rook, it's queen f2, king goes to h3, and rook e2 with a deadly attack. There is no way to stop it. If king goes there, then it's a back rank. So capturing doesn't work, neither with the queen nor with the rook because of this, and this time it's distraction. So if the king goes to h3, it's a checkmate with queen f1. If the king goes there, it's also checkmate with queen f2 or queen f1. Can white go queen f5? White, no. Black can. But there is no pure. So rook c2 was the best move. Instead, in the game, it was played a5. And here, queen f1 was okay, but then I have to play rook e4. I played a6, and you have to play rook d8. However, a better strategy here is to play rook d8 right away. It's definitely more logical. Yes, yes, it was also possible to play queen f5 after check on f3. So rook d8, and now what? So this no longer works because of that. And then, after the exchange of the rooks, this is promoted much faster. For example, queen e2, queen d4. queen d1, queen f2. If this, it's this. But even if king h3, it's still queen e1 and promotion on the next move. Also, if the queen goes there to deliver a perpetual check, it's possible just to do intermediate check to protect on f7 and then play d1 equals queen. So a6, for example, and this time queen f1 works well. How does it work? a7, you play rook d2. So what then? So this is a threat. For example, a8 equals queen, check, and this queen has to be sacrificed. Check, and it's completely winning after c2. There are two extra pawns and the queen in game, and the king is well covered, so it should be fine. Okay, so queen e4 should be played instead in order to unpin. But still rook d2, and because of this pin and because the second rank is opened, these queen f1 rook d2 ideas, well, you could start with queen f1 first and then rook d2, or you could play rook d8 and then rook d2, or I mean rook d8 then queen f1 and then rook d2. So now the rook is lost, so take a7, d1 equals queen, a8. It seems that two queens are on the board and everything is safe, but no, this king is definitely exposed. And now just queen f1. Why? Because after this move, it's queen h1, checkmate, based on this pin. So the question is, f3 before the pin, where? What do you mean? So this move, f3, no, it doesn't work. Then after queen e4, you have to exchange the queens. The rook pin, okay. So rook d8, a6, queen f1. This. No. No, I don't understand. Can you please specify where exactly you want after f3 check? There was a line here. Yeah, I remember. No, not here. Not there. So you want to start with this a6 and instead you want to play queen f3? No, I don't think it works because of queen e4, as I said. There was a checkmate on f5 as well. Yeah, well, in some of the positions, yes. But the key idea here was to take advantage of the second rank open and do either queen f1 right away and then rook d8, rook d2, or do rook d8 first and then queen f1 and then rook d2. So there was no big difference which move order to initiate. Okay, guys, I also prepared homework for you. So anything, any questions, you can send it to tricksofchess@gmail.com. So this is my email. You also may find this email here in the document that I'm sending to you. So let me open it. So this is the homework I want you to do. These two positions. So here the queens are promoted, and but black is up the exchange. So the task is what white can do in order to save the game. And here I want you to find a winning plan for white. So this is the homework. So I send it to you. We will analyze these positions next Sunday on our next webinar. Again, those of you who wants to support my webinars and my work can do it using the link. This. Oops. Okay, I'm not sharing. So this link, let me copy it once again. Okay, so everyone is welcome to my next webinar that will be on Sunday, same time. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. You already put it. Yes, I did. So the announcement will be sent in the middle of the week, and what then? Yeah, the announcement will be sent. And tomorrow I'm going to send the recording with the homework by email. So thank you everyone for coming, and see you next Sunday, same time.